Purpose of this video is to show the concept and the technique of chroma keying. Chroma keying is a technique which is used a lot in the movie industry to make you appear as though you're in scenes that you really aren't in. So, for example, you may take a picture in a studio, as I am right here, but I can make myself appear in front of DNA or, for example, the Eagle Nebula, or the Alps and the Dolomites in the Alps. And so we're going to learn how to do this specific technique using a resource called Pixlr. Pixlr is a free resource, and you can access it by just going to pixlr.com. When you open up pixlr.com, the resource you want to use is known as the Pixlr editor, so make sure you select the Pixlr editor. Pixlr is a free web-based image editing utility, and so it makes it very easy to use in your classroom. The first thing we need to do is to create an image or import an image. In this case, we're going to be importing images, and the two big options here are to import an image from your computer or to import an image from a URL. I have these downloaded, so I'm just going to select the first one right here. So in this case, I'm going to choose a photograph of myself. Now, this is a photograph taken in front of a clear background, or I should say a consistent background. So this is a white screen here. Most chroma keying is done in front of a green screen like we have in the lab, and we're going to take a photographs in front of that so that you have a constant background, which makes it easy to extract the background color. So in this case right here, I'm going to use a tool over here called the Magic Wand tool, which is right there. And when you select the Magic Wand tool, one of the features to look at is right up here, the tolerance. Now the tolerance refers to what range of colors it's going to select. So if I have it set at 21, it's going to select pretty much most of the background, but it's going to miss this zone over here. So I can deselect by just pressing Control D, and I can rechange the tolerance. I'm going to change the tolerance up to maybe 43 or so. I'm going to click over closer to here, and you can see now it's actually selecting too much. So if I was to delete at this point, it's going to delete part of my beard. So here I have an uneven background. Again, Control D to deselect. And I'm going to drop my tolerance down here to maybe about 30. And I'm going to select one zone here, which looks pretty good. I'm going to select that. And now I still have some gray zone left over here. So I could do this in multiple selections. I could delete that. And I still have a little smudge left, so I could use the eraser tool. The eraser tool is this tool right here. So by selecting the eraser tool, I can again change the size of that eraser by using the options up here for that tool, and Control D to deselect the previous one, and now I can clean up that. Then I'll select back to my movement tool here. Now the problem is that this is now still all in the background. Okay, the background is kind of the fixed layer of an image, and we don't really want that for chroma keying. So we're going to try to unlock this over here, and if you look over here, there's a little lock on this layer. So what we're going to do is we're going to double click on that. That now converts it from a background layer and just to an existing layer. We'll call that layer right here norm. Okay, so norm now exists in that layer. Now, right now it has a nice, beautiful white background, but we want to extract that background. So I'm going to use the Magic Wand tool again. The Magic Wand tool is this one right here. And by using that wand tool, I can click here and I can deselect everything. Now, when I get this checkerboard background, such as you see right here, that checkerboard background means it's transparent, so I could put another image behind that. Now the thing is, right now I need to import another image into this scene. So again, I'm going to deselect, Control D, and that means now I can import a new image. So I'm going to open an image, Again, in this case, we could use it from the URL or wherever. I'm going to choose the Alps. So we now have an image here, and we may notice that the images don't exactly overlap. Well, the problem is here is the images are actually much larger than they appear on the screen. So for example, this one of the Dolomites, which is an area of the Alps, is only being viewed at 36%, whereas I'm only being viewed at 22%. So if I was to change those values, so for example, let's say I'm going to click on mine right here, and let's say I change that to 100%, you can see that probably not the greatest view. Okay, so let's go back to a smaller percentage right here. And I'm going to adjust this right here from the size that we have here. I'm going to adjust it down to a reasonable size. Since our websites are not going to be, much larger than 1,000 wide, I'm going to size this appropriately. So to go to image right up here, again this is image sizing, I'm going to choose the image size and I'll reduce this down to about 1,000 pixels. Okay, again this is all adjustable later on as well. So now I'm viewing it only 30%. I'm going to view it 80% here, and so you can see it still is, the whole data is basically there, only in reduced fashion. So what we're going to do is we have now two images here. We have myself, which is in this top image, and then behind it over here is the Dolomites. And I'm going to drag the Dolomites. First of all, I'm going to change their nature as a background. And again, just to show that there, right over here, there's a lock. So I'm going to take off that lock, and I'm going to drag the Dolomites here, the Alps, onto my photograph. Okay, so now you see a picture of the Dolomites on top of my image. And so if you look over here, you will see that in terms of the layers, that there's layer 0 copy on top of myself. I'm going to change this. I'm just going to call this the Alps, so it makes it easy if I get a more complex picture. If I drag my own picture here up on top here, so it's now in the foreground, you'll notice now I appear as though I'm in the Alps. And now if I click on myself, I can move myself in front of that scene, or if I click on the Alps, I can change the position of the Alps to meet my particular desire of the way I want the photo to appear. So if I wanted to, position it something like that, I would just leave it like that, and now the picture is ready to go. Now the beauty of chroma keying is you can instantly change yourself from scene to scene. So to do that, I'm going to import yet another photo. So I'm going to open an image, and again I'm choosing mine here from the my desktop. So I'm going to use DNA. Let's say we wanted to do something that was kind of a biological theme. So I'll open the DNA one right here. Again, double clicking on this just to change it into a layer. And I'm going to drag this layer, in other words this one right here, onto my own picture here. So by dragging this here, now you can see that I can now see myself in front of the DNA, and of course I can resize this to get it to appear that particular way that I want it to see. Now at this point, it's just a matter of importing these, or actually exporting these different images. So if I wanted to export this one, I would say File, Save, and I'm going to save this, the image right here, myself on top of the DNA. If I wanted to save the one with the Alps, I would simply drag the position and do the same procedure. Again, at any time you can crop these. So right now you can see I have a little bit of messiness on the overlap there. I can just go over to the crop tool and just come down there and just change the size of the image, and now there's no overlap. So again, the tool I'm using right here is the crop tool, and you can adjust the final size of your image accordingly. So you put yourself in a number of different scenes and just export them as appropriate.